This episode is brought to you by Alibaba.com, the world's leading B2B e-commerce marketplace. They'll help your business stay competitive and discover new, innovative, and affordable products from over 200,000 suppliers and manufacturers worldwide. And with their trade assurance, you can shop with peace of mind. No more worrying about international payments, delayed shipments, and convoluted refund policies. Even customized orders receive protection. The world of business is waiting for you. Visit Alibaba.com.
This episode is brought to you by Huel. Between hitting work deadlines and exercising, eating healthy food feels difficult. Thankfully, Huel Black Edition has your back. Each 400-calorie meal contains a scientifically calibrated mix of 40 grams of premium plant protein, carbs, fats, fiber, and 27 essential vitamins and minerals. It comes in 9 flavors and costs $2.50 per meal. All you have to do is shake. To get a free t-shirt and shaker and free delivery, go to Huel.com/US.
This is Optimal Finance Daily, episode 2338, Things to Consider Before Closing on Your Next House, by Philip Taylor of PTMoney.com. And I'm your host and personal finance enthusiast, Diana Merriam. Welcome back to Optimal Finance Daily, where every day I read and offer commentary on some of the best personal finance blogs on the web in about 10 minutes or less. So with that, let's get right to our next article as we optimize your life. Things to Consider Before Closing on Your Next House, by Philip Taylor of PTMoney.com. We recently closed on our new home purchase. Hooray! I'm the newest homeowner you know. I thought it might be helpful to share some lessons learned from my experience. Firstly, you can still cancel the deal. Even though you have a signed sales contract and signed lender application, you can still technically cancel the deal. Don't feel like you're completely trapped into this deal. If you find a reason not to close, like you lost your job or you got sick, then don't take on a mortgage that you won't be able to handle. Keep in mind, though, that you've paid earnest money and that might be forfeited. Also, the seller could potentially sue you for breaking the sales contract. Still, neither is worse than taking on a loan that you cannot pay back. This is serious debt and will ruin your credit for a long time if you couldn't handle it. Number 2, avoid committing too much to closing day. You don't own this home until you close the loan and transfer the deed with the title company. A lot could go wrong, which could delay your closing date. Therefore, avoid placing too much pressure on the actual closing date. If possible, avoid scheduling movers or home improvement contractors, transferring mail and utilities, and other date-sensitive things prior to officially closing on the house. This doesn't mean you can't get quotes for movers and contractors and have them on the ready. We actually met with potential contractors when we were having the house inspected. Once we closed, we gave the contractors the green light and scheduled the work. Over-communicate with all parties. This is huge. When you are a week away from your scheduled close date, start communicating with all parties involved in the close process. This includes the lender, the title company, your realtor or agent, your bank where closing funds are coming from, and any party signing on the loan with you, like your spouse or your parents. I would recommend checking with them every other day for status updates and to see if they need anything from you. This sounds like overkill, but it could potentially save you if you absolutely need to close on time. There are a lot of moving parts to the closing process, and most of it requires a human to move things along. Humans make mistakes. So if you're there bugging them and checking with them every other day or so, then you'll be more likely to catch mistakes and help them clear things up timely. They won't mind. You are making them all a lot of money. This is actually not my strong suit. I tend to have too much faith in people and processes and communicate very little. This is one time when I could have used to communicate a little more forcefully because an issue arose at the last minute that delayed our closing. Know the rules about closing funds. Speaking of communication, it's very important to understand what the lender, title company, and bank expect when it comes to the funds you're using to close, which is usually your down payment money. Your lender may be held to federal or state government regulations when it comes to your closing funds. Ironically, the more you put down, the more they expect from you. They may need to, air quotes, source the account that the funds will be paid from. This will involve looking at the history of the account to see how long the funds have been there. If they haven't been there long, like more than 60 days, they will trace the funds to another account, like your savings account, an IRA, or a business account, to ensure it's your money and not a gift, or from doing something shady like selling drugs. When showing the lender your account statements and transaction history, only give them the information they need and nothing more. Too much information could actually cause the lender to dig deeper than they need to. The title company, who you will pay the closing funds to, will likely require a cashier's check or wire transfer for payment. If the amount is over a certain threshold, like $1,000, they will not take cash or a personal check. Lastly, check with your bank to see how they handle wires and cashier's checks so that you're not caught off guard at the last minute. Capital One 360 does not do wire transfers or cashier's checks. Do not keep your closing funds there. I actually used Capital One's 360 savings account to save up our down payment and was going to pay from my 360 checking account. But because of this limitation, I had to transfer the closing funds to my Chase personal checking account a week before closing. This issue created an extra step for the lender in verifying closing funds and ended up delaying our closing by a day. I talked with Capital One 360 and they have no plans to start doing wires or cashier's checks anytime soon. Don't forget the babysitter. If you and your spouse are attending the closing together, you may need to find someone to watch your kids. We left this step to the last minute and had trouble finding someone to help. The closing process takes a minimum of 15 minutes and can take as long as an hour. I'm certainly no expert on the closing process. Be sure to talk with your real estate agent, lender, and title company about any other issues that may be relevant to your particular situation. You just listened to the post titled, Things to Consider Before Closing on Your Next House by Philip Taylor of ptmoney.com.
This episode is brought to you by Alibaba.com, the world's leading B2B e-commerce marketplace. They'll help your business stay competitive and discover new, innovative, and affordable products from over 200,000 suppliers and manufacturers worldwide. And with their trade assurance, you can shop with peace of mind. No more worrying about international payments, delayed shipments, and convoluted refund policies. Even customized orders receive protection. The world of business is waiting for you. Visit Alibaba.com.
This episode is brought to you by Huel. Between hitting work deadlines and exercising, eating healthy food feels difficult. Thankfully, Huel Black Edition has your back. Each 400-calorie meal contains a scientifically calibrated mix of 40 grams of premium plant protein, carbs, fats, fiber, and 27 essential vitamins and minerals. It comes in 9 flavors and costs $2.50 per meal. All you have to do is shake. To get a free t-shirt and shaker and free delivery, go to Huel.com/US.
As a fairly new homeowner myself, I can totally relate to how disorienting the process can be when you've never done it before. It was only about 2 years ago for me, but reading this article actually made me really appreciate the people I chose to work with, as I recall this closing process going very smoothly. Perhaps I got lucky? I'll definitely be keeping these points in mind for future home purchases, and I hope you found this beneficial as well. And that's another weekend edition of Optimal Finance Daily. Thanks so much for your support and for listening every day, of course. I'll be back in just a sec with a bonus episode for today. So I'll see you there where your optimal life awaits.